Hello and welcome back to another episode of In the Margins. This time I'll be talking about love and I'll be using the example of a few books to talk about it. The books will be Murakami's South of the Border, West of the Sun, Bell Hooks' All About Love, and some other forms of media as well, such as a particular scene from a series called You. I mean, the series in itself has nothing to do with love, but yeah, there's a particular scene that I want to reference to. And other than that, I'll be also referencing to Anna Howard's podcast, Wild Geese, her episode on love called What 3000 Years of Love, What We Can Learn from 3000 Years of Love. So, yeah, let's get into the episode. What is love? It's one of those questions that seem deceptively simple, yet every attempt at an answer reveals how elusive it really is. Love is everywhere, an everyday word, a pop song, hook, something that people write stories about, novels about, something that we see in films every day. But love as a concept is very difficult to understand. And today I would like to dive into it. In our culture today, love is deeply misunderstood. Like, we see these examples of perfect couples on Instagram. Um, we have a lot of influencers or a lot of pop psychology content creators who tell us what love is, what a perfect relationship is, what a perfect partner is, what is red flag, etc., etc. There are a lot of contradictions going on the internet, and sometimes it makes the task of understanding love even more difficult. And whatever I am going to be talking about is going to be based on Bell Hooks' All About Love. Uh, it is a very powerful book, I think, and it touches upon subjects that I haven't found anywhere else. Some of the ideas are dated though, because the book was, I think, written around 50 years ago or so. And so, yeah, of course, some ideas I don't agree with. But a lot of ideas are actually very helpful in understanding what love is. Again, like this episode is not about coming at a single definition of love. Rather, it is about understanding the contradictions and how, like, one's definition of love is formed. And for everyone, that definition can be different. Love can really destroy when taken lightly and heal when practiced responsibly. Love may be indefinable, but it is never simple and it is always political. People often confuse commitment with ownership, and this is true in today's dating world, where we often see people are scared of commitment, and usually that's because they don't want to be owned by someone. But I don't think ownership and commitment are equal, they're not the same thing. Anna Howard, on her podcast Wild Geese, talks about it. There is a particular episode on love called What Can We Learn from 3000 Years of Love, and she explores this concept very beautifully. She says your partner cannot own you, even if it is a monogamous relationship. Two people can come together to share their life, build a world together, but still have their separate world, just their own. And I think it's very important to have individuality even when it comes to relationships. Having separate friends, separate social circles, hobbies. This kind of mutual respect for individuality not only keeps things interesting, but also it prevents codependency and resentment. Also, I think one of the major issues of dating in the present time is just the constant thought of that there is something or someone better out there. This idea of missing out on something that you don't even know exists. And it's true for choosing anything really, like making any kind of decision, could be difficult because of the same thing, this idea that there could be something better out there that you're missing. But does that mean that you always put off decisions just because something better might exist out there? And what really helps me in making a decision in such a situation where I feel like it could be about anything, about a career choice or about choosing a cloth, anything. I feel like while making a decision, it's very important to not see any one decision as the correct decision, because every set of decision comes with its own challenge. And when you are making a decision, you're not really choosing just the best outcome of it, but also the worst outcome of it. And so while making a decision, there is no bad decision, because any kind of decision would lead to some good things and some bad things, and you just have to choose what things you are willing to deal with. And I think that really helps me in making decisions, even though I'm a very indecisive person, and I'm trying to implement this in my life, and it has been helping me so far. And I think this is also applicable when it comes to love, that there's not necessarily anything better out there when it comes to dating. You really just need to make a decision about what you want. And if you're in this constant limbo of FOMO, I think it could be a very limiting thing. It's important to understand that there is no perfect person out there. You might be more compatible with some people than others, but you won't find any person you won't have any challenges with. You will have to deal with some challenges at one point or another. The myth of the perfect partner sets us up for disillusionment. Instead of learning to navigate conflict, we end up discarding relationships because we label minor issues as, I don't know, toxic, red flag, narcissist, without fully understanding these terms. And I'm not saying that these terms are not helpful. These words genuinely are helpful for people stuck in toxic situations, but I feel like use of these terms in pop psychology has led to people misunderstanding what these terms mean, and often it makes people run away from conflict rather than having to deal with it or understand it. Or again, I'm not saying that people should stay in a toxic situation, absolutely not, but what I do believe is that we really need more education about what toxic really is, and we need to understand what a healthy conflict looks like and unhealthy conflict looks like. And I think that could be really helpful in understanding or making decisions about what kind of love life we want, what kind of a partner we want. Moving on to the next segment, I would like to talk about gender, marriage, and love. Marriage is a social institution, and that much is very clear, of course. I think it's apparent to even the advocates of marriage, because that is why they care about little things like socio-financial status, common values, etc. Marriage certainly is not just about love, but could love and marriage be the opposite things? And I think one of the K dramas called Because This Is My First Life explores this concept with a lot of nuance. Without giving too many spoilers, this K drama follows two people who get married out of convenience, and it sort of turns the whole institution of marriage on its head. If there is just one K drama that you could watch in your entire life, please watch this one. I mean, I know K dramas have a bad reputation, but trust me, this one is good. Um, so, when it comes to heterosexual relationships, I don't think women are treated equally in either love or marriage. In love, it's just the partner who can mistreat the woman. most probably. But in marriage, it's also the partner's family. The gendered emotional burden on women is quite heavy. In the recent times, even when women are allowed to have financial stability and contribute towards family income, the emotional labor doesn't go away. She is expected to fix her husband, mediate his relationship to his parents and her parents, be nice to all the distant relatives, etc. And like these are just naming a few. There are many other responsibilities that just come with the label of marriage. So women have to perform double the labor for half the benefits because a relationship or marriage does benefit men more than women. Men too have to deal with gender responsibility, but the key difference is that men have to perform their gender to be in a position of power, whereas women have to perform their gender role to downplay their power. For many men, marriage provides both emotional support and domestic order. For many women, it requires an enormous output of energy with less structural reward. What I'm basically trying to say is that um, when it comes to marriage, both men and women play their gender roles, but since like marriage is a patriarchal institution, at least in today's world, um, the playing the gender role gives men a certain amount of power, and playing the gender role for women takes away a certain amount of power. And so we cannot talk about marriage or love connected to marriage without talking about gender. I think the idea behind marriage still remains fusing two individuals to make one. Even legal frameworks reflect this unequal fusion. The idea behind marriage often still assumes that two individuals become one, and the one tends to reflect a model that favors male authority. This is evident in how tax laws, property rights, and even social expectations are structured. Marriage then becomes not just a personal contract but a deeply political act. Coming to another one of the books that I want to talk about in today's episode, South of the Border, West of the Sun by Murakami. This book broke me when I read it, and I read it like 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. I don't remember exactly, but all I do remember is that when I read this book, I felt like love is such a terrible thing. I mean, terrible, it could be good also, but yeah, terrible in the sense that it comes with so much responsibility. Like, when two individuals love each other, they place so much responsibility in each other's hands, and one individual or both the individual have the power to break each other, and that could be a very traumatizing thing. I mean, that's what I took away from this book. That's what I want to talk about. Maybe if I read the book today, it might not have the same effect. But yeah, I was 19 when I read it. 19 or 20 when I read it, and yeah, that's the effect that it left on me. It made me realize how serious it is to love someone and be loved by someone. How much responsibility you have when you carry someone's heart within your palm. To have someone's heart is not a light thing, and it should not be taken lightly. The protagonist, Hajime, doesn't realize this power and responsibility as he comes into a relationship with his middle school girlfriend, as do most teenage. And so he kind of breaks her heart by not really loving her and leading her on. Later, their paths separate. Hajime moves on with his life, is married, and has kids. Shimamoto reappears in the novel when Hajime is older, and we realize how his self absorbed actions harmed her and have haunted her entire life. Quite frankly, this book made me want to never fall in love. Here is a quote from the book that has haunted me. Here she is, all mine, trying her best to give me all she can. How could I ever hurt her? But I didn't understand then that I could hurt someone so badly she would never recover, that a person can, just by living, damage another human being beyond repair. Brutal, right? Most of us don't realize the power we have over the people we love. We do damage people beyond repair, and honestly, isn't that scary? And it's scary that it has been normalized so much in the present times that we go in and out of relationships like it means nothing, but I do believe it gives them huge amount of traumas that I have seen people suffer with. And I think we should treat love with more responsibility, because love at its core is always entangled with power, the power to hurt, to heal, to change the direction of someone's life. Too often we romanticize love as something pure and separate from social systems, but love does not exist outside the structures of power. It exists within them. Who gets to love openly, whose love is considered valid, whose love is celebrated, and whose love is policed are all questions that reveal the political dimensions of intimacy. Even on the personal level, love demands responsibility precisely because it involves power. To say I love you is not just to declare affection, it is to accept a form of stewardship over another's trust, their fragility, and their hope. The danger is when we ignore this, when we treat love as just a feeling instead of an ongoing act of care. Bell Hooks, in her book All About Love, talks about love in this form. She says that we should see love as an action rather than as a feeling, and that kind of would lead us to take responsibility about love rather than just seeing it as a fleeting, mystical feeling. Because love at the end is an act of care, and it is an ongoing act of care that a person has to choose to do. It's not something that magically descends from the heaven or anything. It is a choice at the end. There is a scene in You, the TV series, spoilers ahead, where Marianne tells Love something that reframes the whole idea of what it means to be the love of your life. She says, if there is ever, even for a fleeting moment, a tiny voice in your head, and that tiny voice is telling you, I deserve better, listen to her. That's your partner. That's your real, true love. And if you betray her long enough, you will lose her. I see this dialogue as something extraordinary because it shifts the idea of true love away from another person and anchors it in the self. Marianne is saying that the deepest, most lasting love of your life isn't someone else at all. It is the inner voice that insists that you deserve respect, tenderness, and honesty. It's that inner voice that is willing to stand up for you, that exists in some tiny part of yourself who is still looking out for you, and that is true love. But that voice is fragile, and if you silence it for too long, if you betray it in the name of holding on to a partner, you risk losing not just a relationship but yourself. And this flips the conventional notion of romance we are taught to believe, that the love of our life is out there somewhere waiting to be found. But as Marianne suggests, the love of your life is already within you. It's the part of yourself that refuses to accept less than what you need, less than what you deserve. Loving someone else then cannot come at the expense of betraying the inner voice that wants to love you and protect you. Bell Hooks also makes a similar argument in All About Love. She insists that love is not just about romance or desire, but about honoring the dignity of the self and the others. For Hooks, love requires a foundation of honesty and self awareness. Without those, what we often call love is just attachment or dependency. If we betray our own needs, we aren't really practicing love, we are abandoning it. A reminder that love is an action, never simply a feeling, resonates deeply with Marianne's warning. Both point to the fact that love must begin with listening to the truth inside of us, and that to ignore that truth is to betray the very possibility of love. So, what is love? Perhaps it is not the grand destiny we are taught to wait for. nor the perfect partner social media insists is just one swipe away. Love is not ownership, not a guarantee of forever, not even marriage. Love is an act, sometimes gentle, sometimes heavy, with consequences we cannot always predict. As Bell Hooks writes, love is a practice rooted in commitment, care, respect, responsibility, knowledge, and trust. It is not something we fall into by accident. It is something we choose over and over again. There are certain points from Bell Hooks book that I couldn't touch upon in this episode that I would perhaps talk about in another one, maybe the next one. But yeah, thank you for watching and yeah, like the video, subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.